A lot of the audience are high figure entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers. It's a fireside chat, 20, 25 minutes. And it's just a conversation. I don't know how many podcasts you've been on. And it's like very organic. It's a way to showcase your brand and your growth and your products, your services, and all of that.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Fantastic.
excellent. All right. Well, okay, excellent. So, okay. All right. I'm gonna hit the record button. Oh, it's actually recording now. So, hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And for all the female entrepreneurs out there, I've got a fantastic guest for you, Angela Wilson. And she is a champion for women's courage, assisting women to stand strong in their wealth and embrace their unlimited life. And so, quite fitting, the most recent string of guests have been about living a whole and healthy life, seeing your true wealth, and designing your life of unlimited possibilities. So, Angela, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So glad to be here.
Yeah, I know we had, I'm always interested in the Superman story or Superwoman story and talk about your journey and how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Well, it's always a journey, isn't it? Regardless of where we are. And it's so for me, I started out, I'm also a CPA. So I started out in that realm, and I was, had my own accounting practice, and I kept being called to something more. And that came out of several things in my life that had a huge impact, and I needed to change. And I decided, you know what? This is what is so on my heart, and I really wanted to assist women to live as the best version of themselves from a whole wealth standpoint, and really go after their unlimited life, because that's what we're here to do.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to pay my life forward, so maybe some others didn't have to go through some of the pitfalls I did.
Yeah, and so we'll start off with talking about what is it designing your life of unlimited possibilities, and what does whole wealth mean, and why is it important in our lives?
So for me, whole wealth means living from a standpoint of being wealthy in all aspects of your life. So typically when people hear the word wealth, they immediately think of finances. They immediately think of money, which is super triggering for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of old stories and old baggage that goes along with it as well. And so it's also from the standpoint, though, we need to have wealth in our relationships. So one of the most important relationships we have is relationships to ourselves,
Mhm.
and really, making sure that we're really having that be a priority and choosing ourselves in our lives.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. Another aspect is, wealth in your spirituality, wealth in love, wealth in health, wealth. So it's your whole life. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I love that. One thing is, for women, what are the top three things that hold women back from the life they deserve and dream of?
Oh, one of the big ones is really not choosing themselves. So it's really about them listening to the old stories that we're told and the old stories that we take on, and those stories are teachings. So one of those teachings that a lot of women have heard is to choose yourself is selfish. They have to put everybody else for you, all of those things, and that is so not true. It's just not true.
Mhm.
And one of the other things that a lot of women go through is, that even on the outside, they may be completely 100% look like they have it all happening and all together. But lots of times in the back of their mind, there is doubt of being judged and what have you. So there's that fear factor in there. And so when we do that, what ends up happening is we actually dim who we are.
Mhm.
And then we end up playing small, which means we're not living as the best version of ourselves. We're not choosing ourselves. We're not showing up as all of us. And that's not what we were put on this planet for.
Mhm. Mhm.
Every single person on this planet is supposed to live full out in their life. And
Mhm.
we can all go after our unlimited dreams if we choose to.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And then so I just got done talking with another guest, and she was a lot of entrepreneurs and doctors and high income professionals, we talked about childhood trauma and running away and people pleasing. And
Mhm.
so one thing we talked about was guilt and shame, but what I want to add on to that conversation is um, what when other people see you growing, like when you decide to put your foot down and you're
Mhm.
like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be your doormat, or I'm not going to, live someone else's. How do you handle the negative reactions to other people? Like, they're like, yeah, you think you're better than us, and oh, you think you're gonna, all this. How do you handle that?
Well, you really have to decide to tap into your courage and to stand in your own truth. And one of the things, and a dear mentor of mine said this a long time ago to me, you know what? People are going to judge you regardless of what you do. So you might as well be happy, because at least then one of you will be happy. Because if they're judging you, that's theirs. That's not yours at all. So you can't take it on.
Yeah,
And when you're taking it on, so it's also, people come into our lives for really for a season, and sometimes a reason. But they're not always meant to stay there the whole time. And that was a lesson that I had to learn, because I thought that I had to, anybody that was there, oh my gosh, they were supposed to be there the whole, like, my entire life. And
yeah.
that's not true. I'm very, very fortunate in that I do have people that have been in my life a very long term. And I treasure that, but doesn't always look that way. And it's okay. And really, the other piece of this is when we really step up and choose ourselves and live as the best version of ourselves,
Mhm.
what it does is it gives permission for everyone around us to do
Mhm.
the same if they choose to do it. We can't change anybody else. They have to choose to do that.
Yeah, which brings me to sometimes you have to I heard this great quote is sometimes you have to love someone from afar, and just kind of keep them at a distance, you don't before you could confide in them, but then you realize that when you confide in them they kind of stab you in the back, or they try to shoot you down. So you just kind of just keep your thoughts to yourself, and then you integrate with like people that are doing things like really like moving the needle forward. So the next question I have for you is, how do you handle the haters? Like, or like we talked about choosing your inner circle, but like, let's say you start making a presence on social media, and then these trolls or these people are like, yeah, saying negative things, and kind of, how do you handle those?
Well, you really, again, it's really the same premise in that, it's not yours and you can't take it on. You can't you can't control if somebody else wants to say something nasty to you about you. So I think the biggest way to handle that is to really just go, you know what? That's yours. It's not mine, and I'm not taking it on. And if it's, a nasty comment that is, say, in your Facebook feed, delete it.
Yeah,
Delete it. I think it's really super important to, again, it's about standing in your power and standing in your courage and going, okay, I know I'm not the flavor for everyone.
yeah,
That's not what I'm here to do. The women that work with me, they can hear my voice. They can, identify with who I am and work with me that way. Somebody else may not be able to hear my voice because they're not in that space, and that's okay. It's
yeah.
really okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I have this shit list that I use for just motivation, just kind of like I use, but a lot of like trolls and haters, I actually bookmark their comments and I see where they are like 1 or 2 years later, and
Mhm.
they're like either regressed or they're in the same place, and I'm like, if you're letting this affect you, like, what does that say about you? Because they're like there's nobody just like, and then you're letting it affect you. So I kind of learned what you just told the audience. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, and then also what I really love is you wrote a book, right? And talk
Yes.
about kind of on a positive front, what did you always want to be an author? Why this book now? Talk about this living in the shadows, and kind of embellish the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is called Living Out Loud: Design Your Life of Unlimited Possibilities. And it's so funny. I was told all the way through school, not good at English. Actually, I was told I wasn't good at most subjects. And then, I was in a relationship in my life where I was told that I wasn't any good at writing and what have you.
Mhm.
And but there was always something underneath that I thought, oh, I'd like to do this. And I remember, being, years later doing a class with a friend of mine and actually getting an okay mark. And I was like, oh, what is this all about? And so, I had kind of done, oh, I'll later on, that's for the next phase of life. That's for the next phase of life. And then I decided, a good friend of mine who is an editor and a book coach, she reached out to me about a program that she was offering, and it was called Kickstart Your Writing. And I thought, I'll take it. I'd like to do that. I was, playing around with blogging and what have you. And then her and I had a conversation. She said, why are you not writing this book? And I went, oh, I guess there really isn't a good reason. Let's do it now. And part of it was a fear of being judged, but also it was a huge fear of, can I do this? Actually, who am I to think I can do this?
Mm.
And then I did you know what, who am I not? Why not me? Why not me? She goes, Angela, I'm an editor. She's also an author. And she goes, I'm an editor and I need somebody to edit my stuff.
Uh,
Don't worry about it. And I was like, this makes sense. So I went ahead and I wrote it. And it was really, it was one of those things that I I wanted to make sure that others could read it, and hopefully there was something in it that would spark for them, because I talk about dreams and going after your dreams and intentional dreaming, and I talk about not living in the shadow anymore and using your voice. For many, many years, I know you'll find this hard to believe because I'm on a podcast with you right now, but for many, many years, I didn't use my voice at all. I would speak when I was spoken to, and that was it.
mhm, mhm,
And then again, I went, this can't continue.
mhm,
It really can't continue. And that came out of a very dark spot in my life.
mhm.
And I had to figure out who I was. And in figuring out who I was, what I realized is when I used my voice, people actually listened.
Yeah. In what it sounds like I'm hearing is that you have everybody has gifts to give, and it's whether it's suppressed by you know whether it's suppressed by societal or different expectations or parents, at some point you have to kind of unleash that, and you have to learn to so which brings me to my next question is because I remember when I first started out, I left like a lucrative career, and like I'm this Asian kid from the South, and a lot of people are like, who are you? You're not to paraphrase, they're like, yeah, you're not white male, so don't even try. But for the women that say, that's me, that's my life, I want this, but I can't change now. It's too late and I have no support. How do you respond to that?
My response is it's never too late. And if you truly desire something and it's in your heart, it's about allowing the passion to grow and to fuel it and go after it. And having no support, that's why I do what I do, is because you need that trusted ear. You need that person that's a champion for you. And again, I had for many, many years of my life, I didn't have that support. And that was one of the reasons that I shifted into what I'm doing, because I wanted to be there for other women so that they had somewhere. And when you're first starting to go this direction and step outside of your comfort zone, it takes courage. And so if you're not around the right people and they really, judge you and kind of poo-poo it, then it's going to be that much harder. So I would, yeah, reach out to have a trusted friend, a trusted family member if you have one. If not, get a coach, get a mentor. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have you thrive.
Yeah. I think the hardest part is getting uplifted and just getting that momentum going. And so one thing that I've really found very helpful is plugging into the right people.
Mhm.
And for someone who's just starting out, they don't have a network of people. who believe. How do you start? How do you start finding these people and start listening and contributing and plugging in? Because once you do that, it's like supercharged. It's like bam, you start to
Oh
see
yeah.
things. So talk about that.
So it's really about, jumping in and getting yourself out to go to different groups, find different groups, test them out. And you'll know if they're your people or not. That's for sure. And one of the biggest supports is community and finding, like I always say, like-minded, open-hearted people. Because that's the people I like to be around. I like to be around those people we're having big conversations and we're lifting each other up, and we're just like having so much fun. There is, for me, I cannot be around the negative ones, because from that standpoint, they zap my energy so bad that it's just like, no. So I want to be around, fantastic people and
Yeah.
have those huge, huge conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to get out and be a little adventurous, step a little bit outside your comfort zone. You don't have to go massive outside of your comfort zone. Just, take a little step, and ends up happening is you'll take another step and another step and another step, and you'll find the most amazing, amazing people. Also, give yourself permission to do that,
Mm.
from the standpoint of, if you're going to go out and go to a new group just to see if they're, your people, then walk in there with the intention of, what? I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find one person that is the coolest person. And you know what'll happen? That's exactly what you'll find. But if you go in going, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to meet anybody, guess what? You're not. And it's going to be horrible. So
Mm.
set yourself up for success.
Yeah. One of the best things I heard from someone networking at a conference was she was saying when you walk like where you go in blind and you have this faith or this knowing that the universe will send you somebody who you're supposed to connect with, or kind of, and that's going to lead to so just staying open to the possibilities. And so like I said, I really love this talk and just talking about empowerment. How can people find you and reach out to you and check out your work and work with you?
So you can find me on my website, which is angelaunlimited.com. And there's different ways there for you to get a hold of me. You can find me on Facebook under Angela Unlimited, Instagram, Angela Unlimited. So yeah, reach out, and yeah, I'd love to have a conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And for all the audience, be sure to give Angela a like and follow on socials and check out her coaching programs and services if it fits. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Christopher. This was awesome. I loved the conversation. It was really